science and spirituality, religion alone will bring peace and harmony to mankind. Unquote. A UNESCO chair in human rights, democracy, peace, and tolerance has been established at the World Peace Center of Myers MIT World Peace University, Pune, Bharat. An agreement establishing the UNESCO chair was signed in Paris on Tuesday, 12th May 1998 between UNESCO, Paris and World Peace Center, Myers MIT Pune for the noble cause of world peace. Being inspired and motivated by the philosophy of the great philosophers Saint Shree Dnyaneshwara and Saint Shree Tukaram, the organizing committee is indeed taking privilege in organizing this 27th Endowment Lecture Series. Philosopher Saint Shree Dnyaneshwara, philosopher Saint Shree Tukaram, and Swami Vivekananda, the founding fathers of the cultural renaissance of India, remind us that the path of our future social reconstruction and welfare is through the blending of scientific and spiritual values, which should form a common goal for the whole of mankind. To realize the dream of this trinity and make the people of the world aware of the social, scientific, and philosophical teaching of these great masters, Saint Shree Dnyaneshwara and Saint Shree Tukaram Endowment Lecture Series Trust has been established by Myers MIT Pune as a result of the donation by revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karad and his brothers Shree Tulsiram and Shree Kashiram Dadarao Karad in the name of their most respected and revered mother, late Srimati Saraswati Karad, and their beloved father, Rashtradharma Pujak, late Shree Dadarao Karad. We solicit everyone's kind presence and participation in this lecture series, which is organized in quest of world peace. Needless to say, we all should wholeheartedly try to contribute our little share for the welfare of the living beings on this beautiful planet, Mother Earth. With this, we now finally go ahead with the countdown as our guest proceeds towards this very auditorium for unfurling the next session of Day 3 of the 27th Endowment Lecture Series. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all stand and give a huge round of applause for the Vishwadharmi, revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karad sir, our guest of honor, Honorable Dr. Ajit Ranade sir, our Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. R.M. Chitnis sir, our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor Dr. Milind Pandey sir, Dr. Shalini Sharma ma'am, Dr. Anjali Sane ma'am, let us all give a huge round of applause for our honorable guest who, with the blessings of revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karaj sir, would like to now begin the next session of the 27th Saint Shree Dnyaneshwara and Saint Shree Tukaram Endowment Lecture Series and Orientation Workshop 2022 UNESCO Chair Program for Culture of World Peace. I welcome you all once again and namaste to the distinguished guests on and off the dais. Let us begin this session by experiencing the divinity through the medium of a universal prayer, a prayer that is not restricted to any religion, race, language, culture. It is the prayer of mankind, the world peace prayer. May we all stand up, join our hands, close our eyes, and wholeheartedly participate in the world peace prayer. I request my technical team to kindly relay the world peace prayer.
वेद प्रतिपाद्या जय जय स्वसंवेद्या आत्मरूपा देवातुति गणेषु सकलार्थमतिप्रकाशु म्हणे निवृत्तिदासु अवधारि गोजी गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Thank you so much for your wholehearted participation. I request everyone to kindly be seated. I now request Dr. Sandeep Dhikre to please proceed to the stage for the rendering of Omkar meditation.
Namo Namaha. A very warm welcome to one and all present over here. Welcome to this grand and divine experience of 27th Endowment Lecture Series. By saying Dhyana Dhyanam Vishishyate, Srimad Bhagavad Gita has shown us the importance of dhyana. So before this Dhyana Satra, let's have a short and sweet dhyana, that is meditation. Everyone here is requested to participate in Omkara Dhyan. Om, the origin of the creation, the driving force of all, the eternity, purity, and the divine energy. Welcome to the present moment. Before we begin, remind yourself that this time is for you and you alone. Take a moment to make yourself comfortable where you are. Gently close your eyes, relax, and be comfortable. While we listen to the Omkara, try to bring your attention on your breathing. I request my technical team to play the Omkara music. Just be there, experience the bliss, feel the divinity. Now rub your palms, create energy, and gently apply that on your eyes and face, and slowly, slowly open your eyes. Thank you. Anugrihitosmi.
Thank you so much, sir. I would now like to kindly request Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Ravi Kumar Chitnis, sir, to kindly give the welcome speech and introductory remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Pranima. First of all, I'll welcome back all of you for this very important session of 27th Sant Dnyaneshwara and Sant Tukaram Endowment Lecture Series and Orientation Workshop. In keeping with main objective of promoting the culture of peace through this lecture series, we heard some of very enlightening talks of distinguished personalities earlier. For information and benefit of Dr. Ranade sir, the topics ranged from Indian scriptures to role of spirituality in life, to peace and compassion in Islam, to resilient and prosperous Bharat, to national education policy, which was narrated by none other than Chandrakant Patil yesterday, the present Minister for HR, Education of Government of Maharashtra. Ranging subjects like Manashanti, science and weapons for Vishwashanti, so on and so forth. It is just amazing to have subject of such a wide variety being discussed on the one common platform. So today in this session, we have another interesting topic which is very important in the socio-economic perspective. And the topic would be economic growth and inequality. We would be inquisitive to know whether this inequality is economic inequality or inequality of other types too. And Honorable Vice Chancellor of Gokhale University, Gokhale Institute will be elaborating this. Today's resource person, Dr. Ajit Ranade, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics, which is the oldest research and training institute of the country, founded by Gopal Krishna Gokhale, from whom Mahatma Gandhi revered as his political mentor. Dr. Ajit Ranade sir is highly qualified economist and academician. He did his engineering, that is BTech, in electrical engineering from IIT Bombay. After doing that, he went to do Masters in Management, MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. And then he went to United States of America for doing his PhD from Brown University. I think this speaks more than enough for what a genius he is. And before taking up the academic responsibility at Gokhale Institute, Dr. Ranade was the group executive president and chief economist with the Aditya Birla Group, entity which has $50 billion net worth and is a multinational conglomerate. We are really honored to have such illustrious personality here to deliver an expert talk in the 27th Endowment Lecture Series. On behalf of our founder president, UNESCO chairholder for peace, and the creator and curator, nurturer of this endowment lecture series, revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karad sir, and on behalf of Managing Trustee and Executive President, Shri Rahul Vishwanath Karad sir, on behalf of trustee members of MIT Group of Institutions, on behalf of all faculty, staff and students of MIT World Peace University, may I extend a very warm welcome to the chief guest of this session, Dr. Ajit Ranade sir. We are eager to hear your expert views, sir. And with this, I would like to hand over to Dr. Ranade sir. But before that, with permission of Chair Dr. Vishwanath Karad sir, I want to share one anecdote about Dr. Ajit Ranade sir in just 30 seconds. That we were in one conference and which was chaired by Education Minister of India, Honorable Dharmendra Pradhan. And you know he's one of the experts in education because he spent 40 years in education in a different capacity. So many vice chancellors were there. Dr. Ajit Ranade sir walked in, and from stage, I think you may remember once I tell you. And Dr. Dharmendra Pradhan during that session said, here is a man who is sitting in the first row, who was head of $1 billion with crores of rupees salary, in one go left everything and came as a vice chancellor of Gokhale Institute, which is a deemed university. We want teachers like him, and the entire hall was clapping like you were clapping. Ranade sir, आपल्याला हे आठवतंय असं मला वाटतं. With this, before we go ahead, we'll request for a felicitation at the hands of revered Professor Dr. Karad sir. Thank you much.
Friends, let us give a huge round of applause. It's indeed our honor and privilege to felicitate our guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Ajit Ranade sir from Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics, Pune. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Before I invite sir to deliver his talk on economic growth and inequality, I consider it to be my great fortune to introduce our guest speaker for today. Dr. Ajit Ranade is a Vice Chancellor of Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics in Pune. His career has spanned in both academic and corporate assignments. He was earlier Group Executive President and Chief Economist with the Aditya Birla Group, an Indian multinational $60 billion conglomerate. Dr. Ranade is a member of the executive committees of Apex Industry Chambers CII, FICCI and MCCIA. He has also been a member of the board of several companies and trusts. He writes in the business press on economics and current topics. He is a co-author of an award-winning book, Rising to the China Challenge, published in 2021. Dr. Ranade is a co-founder and trustee of Association for Democratic Reforms, a citizen watchdog body. He is a trustee of Pune International Center and an honorary senior fellow at the Takshashila Institution. Dr. Ranade holds a B.Tech in Electrical Engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, and is an alumnus of Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. He received his PhD in economics from Brown University. He received the Distinguished Alumnus Award from IIT Bombay in 2009. श्रोते हो, टाळ्यांच्या गडगडात सहर्ष स्वागत करूया आदरणीय डॉक्टर अजित राणाडेजींचा. May I kindly request, sir, to please proceed and address the gathering. Over to you, sir. Can we please have a huge round of applause?
Thank you, Ms. Bagchi, for a very kind and generous introduction. Sagrana maza namaskar, namaste, good evening. I am going to speak in English, पण कदाचित थोडं मराठीमध्ये आपण जर संधी मिळाली, सवड मिळाला, वेळ असली तर थोडं चर्चा करू. But primarily, I would like to speak in English. So first of all, I am extremely honored and delighted to be here. And Dr. Vishwanath Karad and other members on the dais, Dr. Chitnis, Dr. Shalini, Dr. Anjali, who happens to be our very important alumnus, Dr. Patre, and other distinguished people in the audience and faculty and staff. Thank you very much, Dr. Karad, for inviting me. As I said, it is a great honor and privilege for me. I must say, of course, that I have been privileged to enjoy Dr. Karad's hospitality, at least I think on 2 occasions before. So I'm, of course, very happy to come back here. And the same aura, the same, what should I say, the same presence, the same sentiment of spreading peace, intensifying peace in the world, I can sense today as it was many years ago. So thank you. My topic today is growth and inequality. So I'll make some remarks and I think we will leave some time for an interaction and maybe question and answers. Before that, I want to tell you that what Dr. Chitnis said, Mr. Gopal Krishna Gokhale, you might know him as one of the leaders of the independence movement and also president of the Congress party for some time. But before that, he was an academic. He taught for 20 years in Ferguson College. I think he taught mathematics. He took early retirement to be in public service. He was a member of the Provincial Assembly, Jalapanas, we will call Vidhan Sabha today, but it was called the Provincial Assembly. So he actually entered public life. Later on, he became a member of the, Provincial Council, and later on he became a member of the Imperial Council. In fact, he occupied the seat vacated by none other than Dadabhai Nauroji. And therefore, he used to be the person who had the first opportunity to respond to the budget presentation in the UK Parliament. And his comments were often seen as very sharp and critical. So I'm told that even Lord Keynes, who's one of the stalwarts of the 20th century, an economist, has mentioned Mr. Gokhale's contribution in the field of economic analysis. But of course, his contribution is much greater in India's independence movement, in India's commitment to constitutionalism. So on that, I want to wish you all a happy Constitution Day today. You know, our country became independent on 15th August 1947, as defined in modern times. We gained independence or freedom in 47, but we gained responsibility in 1950 on 26 January. So first came freedom and then came responsibility. There is no freedom without responsibility. That day is 26 January, and 26th November 1949 is the day on which the final draft of the Constitution was approved by the Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly of India deliberated for 2.5 years about what should be the rules. You know, we are all coming together as an independent nation, as a society. How should we conduct with each other? आपण एक दुसऱ्यांना शिव्या द्यायच्या की नाही? In a lighter vein. How should we conduct ourselves? So that is the Constitution of India. The spirit of the Constitution, as you know, is fundamentally freedom. Freedom. The four, you know, the sort of very intrinsic principles of justice, of liberty, म्हणजे freedom, equality, fraternity, federalism, म्हणजे a federal republic. So all this is enshrined in this Constitution, which our founding fathers discussed for almost 2.5 years. Everything that we discuss today, every debate, whether it is the Uniform Civil Code or whether it is the economic quota for economic weaker sections, everything that is being discussed today, which seems to be topical, you will be surprised to find it in our Constitution. So today we celebrate the Constitution Day, and I want to remind you that Mr. Gokhale was a committed constitutionalist, and as Dr. Chitnis said, Mahatma Gandhi considered Gokhale to be guru, but perhaps you also know that not only Mahatma Gandhi, but Muhammad Ali Jinnah also considered Gopal Krishna Gokhale to be his guru. He famously said that I would like to be remembered as the Muslim Gokhale. So, you know, that is the tradition that we have inherited, and it is up to us to uphold, and not just uphold, but to enhance, strengthen, and deepen our constitutionalism. My talk is not about constitutionalism, but I will make a reference to this later on. My talk is about economic growth and inequality. Okay? Economic growth and inequality. So I'll be spending about 30-35 minutes on this topic, and I will invite your comments and questions, and if we have time, we will discuss that. What I would like to cover in this 30-40 minutes are the following 4 or 5 questions. Okay? Number 1. Is there inequality in society? Okay. Number 2, is inequality bad? Firstly, is there inequality? Second, is inequality bad? Third, is inequality increasing? Fourth, does growth have any connection with inequality? Fifth, if inequality is increasing and it's bad, what can we do about it? Okay, so that's what I want to cover. Is there inequality? Is it bad? Is it increasing? Is there a connection with growth? And what can we do about it? So let me start. Firstly, do we have inequality in society? Now this almost is like a rhetorical question. म्हणजे सूर्य पूर्वेकडे उगवतो का? Does the sun rise in the east? You know, this is called a technique of rhetoric. I don't know how many of you in the audience are lawyers or LLB by training. So this is called a rhetorical technique. Of course there is inequality, correct? But I'm trying to say that there is inequality in many dimensions. There is inequality in income. There is inequality in wealth. There is inequality in opportunity or access. say to good education. Not everybody gets access to education like MIT. So there is inequality in access or opportunity. There is inequality in gender lines. Not men and women don't have equal opportunities. Or there is inequality in regional. Certain regions of India are backward. Certain regions are forward. Why? Even within Maharashtra, you will be surprised to know that we have 36 districts. The newest district in Maharashtra is called Palghar. So we have 36 districts now, but only 3 districts, which is I think the Thane, Pune, Mumbai, and maybe a 4th district, account for 46 to 50% of industrial output. Does that mean industrial production is unequal? So there is inequality in regional patterns. Some parts of India, some cities, they look like European cities. Some parts of India, they look like, sub-Saharan Africa. So there is inequality in income, there is inequality in wealth, there is inequality along gender lines, there is inequality regional. Now the new inequality is digital inequality. Not everybody has a smartphone. Not everybody has Wi-Fi. Not everybody has internet access. We had a lockdown for more than a year or 1.5 years. It is estimated that 270 million children were denied opportunities of good education, school education, because when you do online education or work from home, not everybody has a smartphone. Even if there is only one smartphone in a family, but then it should go to the kid who is doing SSC, or 8th standard wale ko nahi milega. The husband has to work, so that smartphone is shared, or sometimes the Wi-Fi is not working, or internet is not working, or electricity is not there. So estimate is 270 million children have been denied education, and there's been a setback because of this is called digital inequality, access to digital India, you can say. So first question is there inequality? I hope everybody in this room agrees that there is inequality. Now, what is the extent of inequality? So then we come to the question, why is it bad? So my second question was, right, is inequality bad? So I want to tell you the following, that if you have widening inequality in society, by the way, before we come to that question, I just want to spend a couple of minutes more. You know how bad the inequality, what is the extent of inequality? If everybody in this room, I ask you, madam, what is your income? I'm sorry, I won't tell it to anybody, but I'm taking a field survey. What is your income? What is annual income? And then I do a statistical exercise. So I have, say, 300-400 of data points. I line them up from left to right, from increasing order on the x-axis. And then I plot the graph. So the inequality is defined as how many people. Your total aggregate income is the sum total of everybody's income. What fraction of that income is owned by you or by you? So the estimate is that in India, now we'll talk about India, we can talk about global inequality. In India, the estimate is that the top 1 or 2% of the people have 25% of national income. National income is the sum total of the value of goods and services sold during 1 year, right? That is the national income. It is also called GDP. It is called income because when you buy a Tata car, a Tata Nexon, the value of that car is part of GDP. But when you pay money for that car, say 15 lakh rupees or 20 lakh rupees, that money goes as payment for vendors, or payment for salaries, or payment as interest that the company may have taken, or it goes as dividends, profits. So the same, what you measure as value of goods and services, which is production side, the other side of the coin is people's income. So GDP is nothing but national income. So the estimate is that top 1% of India gets 22 or almost 1/4 of national income. That is the measure of inequality. So the answer to the first question is there inequality? Yes, there is inequality. I hope it is convincing to you. Second question, is inequality bad? The answer to this question is see, if you have too much inequality, what do you think is the consequence of that? Basically, typically, I submit to you that it leads to social instability. जर समाजामध्ये जास्ती विषमता वाढत गेली तर त्याच्यामुळे अस्थिरता, अस्थैर्य, एक प्रकारचं इन्स्टेबिलिटी होते. There may be some anxiety, there may be issues of law and order, because if you have extreme inequality, you know, I'm reminded a few years ago when we had to go to South Africa, in say the Cape Town or the capital Johannesburg, they used to say that after 5 o'clock, please go down, don't go alone outside the hotel. What is the reason? They said, no, you can get mugged, not murdered, but तुम्हाला कोणीतरी म्हणजे you can get mugged. Mugging, I hope you have heard this word. Mugging म्हणजे not studying for exam. This mugging incidents happen in New York also. So, because of widening inequality, the risk of getting mugged or getting attacked by somebody who is poor is higher. Now, you can have only so many police in society. Everything cannot be controlled. So, the risk of such incidents increases with high inequality. The risk of law and order breakdown, the risk of extreme instability, the risk of anxiety, social anxiety increases. So what happens, people, you know, as I was saying earlier in our conversation, that people will then protect themselves. You will have societies with guards. You cannot enter a housing society unless you have security. Sir, आपको मिलने आया है. क्या नाम है आपका? अच्छा, मोबाइल नंबर क्या है? These are all measures. You know, there was a time, during the time of Marco Polo, he went around the world. There was no visa and passport. You could move around, but now you have so many controls. I'm not saying that's related to inequality, but inequality causes social instability. And what happens is, from an economic growth point of view, you know, it will deter investors. Investors do not like to put new factories and new investments in areas which have very high inequality. Some parts of Africa have high inequality. Some parts of Latin America have high inequality. Not much investment goes there because investors are worried that their property may not be protected. Too much, if there's too much tension, it could be, you know, if there's too much unrest, there's insecurity, feeling of insecurity, anxiety, and risk. So inequality is bad because of this consequence, too much inequality. So I told my submission to you is like, think of inequality like pollution. We are an industrial society. You know, we have this podium, we have these chairs, we have electricity, lights. How do they come? The lights are here because of electricity. Electricity is here because we have to burn coal in power stations. You know, most of our power is electric power is produced by burning coal. When you burn coal, you have pollution. So we can't, as a modern society, we cannot live without pollution. But there is something called too much pollution. If you go to Delhi these days, the air quality index is very bad. So we are trying to do something to reduce it. So as a society, we say, oh, this pollution, it's too much. Air quality, water quality, we need to control that. So therefore, we introduce measures like effluent control, like pollution control, try to reduce pollution. We introduce penalties and taxes. We try to discourage the use of coal. We try to go for renewable energy. All these are policies to reduce pollution. So think of inequality like pollution. Okay? Inequality, too much inequality is like pollution. We cannot have zero inequality in society because we are all differently talented. Some people are going to get more income. Some people are going to get less income. But when that gap widens, we have to think how much we have to control it, just like pollution. So think of inequality as pollution. So the reason, so my answer to second question, first question is there inequality? Yes, there is inequality. I can give you a lot of data. Second, if you're traveling in a car in Mumbai, where I used to live, and if your car stops at a traffic signal, immediately some people come and knock on the window. Sir, that is another manifestation of inequality. So I don't have to, you know, I hope I don't have to convince it. So first, there is inequality. Second, it is bad because it leads to adverse consequences like deterrence of investment goes down, social instability goes up. But I want to tell you that it is bad for another reason, and that's the connection with spirituality or with ethics or with morality. This is a domain about which economics is completely silent. economic science or economic subject will not tell you why, the morality of it, because morals and ethics and just things like fair and unfair, itki inequality society, it's so unfair. We use this word, right? It's so unfair. Economics is silent about this. What is fair, what is unfair? This definition does not exist in economics. This comes from outside economics. This comes from the social sciences. This comes from our jurisprudence. This comes from morality. This comes from the spiritual literature. So I'm saying that inequality is bad not only because investment will go down. It's bad because fundamentally as human beings, we feel for other. Jeka ranzale ganzale tasi mane jo apule. Since we are remembering Sant Tukaram, so even the great saints have said that you have those who have fellow feeling for their fellow human beings. Vaishnava janate tene kahiye. Those who have empathy for people, janchi pida hai, those who are suffering. So inequality is bad because if people are below you and if you feel for them, then that causes hurt, that causes pain. So you have to reduce the pain. Now this is not an economic argument, okay? I made an economic argument saying that inequality is bad because investment kam hoga, fir GDP kam hoga. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this is beyond. So inequality is bad for the second reason. So I hope that is the end of that question. So first is there inequality? Second, is it bad? It's bad because of instrumental reason, which I mentioned to you, but it's also bad for moral reasons, which is beyond economics. Now third, if it is bad, how much? Was that my third question? Or is the connection with growth and inequality? Sorry? Is the fourth question. The third question is there a connection between growth and inequality? Is it increasing? Yes, sorry. When you don't come with the PPT, that's what happens. But I don't like to use PPT because then nobody's looking at you, they're looking at the screen. I would like you to look at me. Secondly, when you show a PPT on the screen, first thing that people, all these bright people look at is bottom left corner. How many slides are there? Baapre, 45 slides. So the question is it increasing? Yeah, so the third question, so first question was, is there inequality? Second question, is it bad? Third question, is it increasing? Yes. Answer is yes. So first question, is there inequality? Yes. Is it bad? Yes. Is it increasing? Yes. So 3 yes dhale. Now that also I don't need to I think give you evidence, or I hope all of you are, one example, SEBI, which is the Securities and Exchange Board of India, a few years ago has insisted that all companies which are listed on the stock market, Bombay Stock Exchange or National Stock Exchange, have to report the ratio of the salary paid to the CEO, the highest paid executive, divided by the average salary, not the lowest salary. This is a requirement now, legal requirement. Those of you who are in the management faculty will know this requirement. So SEBI is asking us to report, all the companies have to report in their annual report. That number is as high as 500. So if the average salary is, let's say, in a corporate, well-to-do corporate, I think average salaries are about 8 or 10 lakh rupees. The top guy, the top man, usually it's a man, it's not a woman. The top man is getting 500 times 10. 500 times 10 is how much? 5,000 lakhs, which is how many crores? 50 crores. So this was not, if we were having this discussion 15 years ago or 20 years ago, this ratio was not that high. So I'm just giving you an example how the inequality has actually gotten worse, meaning it is we are much more unequal now. If you look at, I told you in India as a whole, macroeconomy, 1% of the population now has access to 22% of national income. This number was not 22%. Back in 1950s, that number was only 5% or 7% or 10%. In fact, the Thomas Piketty, who is one of the world's authorities on this literature, has done this exercise for India, and he has looked at data all the way from 1920s. The data shows that inequality in India is getting worse. Of course, we are confining the discussion today to India only. I can talk about other countries. It's getting worse in China. It's getting worse in Korea. I don't know if you saw the Oscar-winning movie 2 years ago called Parasite. Anybody saw Parasite? Thank you. So Parasite is a movie based in Korea, in Korean language. First time in the history of Oscar, they gave a award. The best movie award went to not a Hollywood movie, it went to a Korean movie, whose language was not even English, right? And that movie is based on Korea, which is one of the most affluent societies in the world. They used to be as poor as India back in the 1960s, and today they are a member of OECD. OECD is a collection of 15 countries which are the richest in the world, and Korea is part of that, South Korea, not North Korea. And this movie is actually about the inequality in Korean society. Ek driver asto, to malak asto. I don't want to give you, it's an award-winning movie. So even in Korea it's increasing, Russia it's increasing, America it's increasing, UK it's increasing. In fact, somehow the backlash to inequality is the unexpected rise of phenomenon like President Trump, or the unexpected outcome like Brexit, or the unexpected rise of someone like Prime Minister Boris Johnson. All these are outcomes were unexpected. Nobody anticipated it. Some of it is because of widening inequality. So the answer to my third question is fourth. Is it increasing in the world? It is indeed increasing. I can give you much more data. You have so many indicators of inequality. The share of income to the top 1%, the ratio of the salary earned by the CEO to average salary. By the way, this is average. Huh? Now imagine the lowest paid salary. If you don't have contract workers, organized vectors, the lowest koi clerk rahega, peon rahega, chaprasi rahega, sweeper rahega. If you take that ratio, that is even worse than 500. So inequality is increasing. So let me move to the fourth question. Is there a connection between growth and inequality? Economic growth and inequality, is there a connection? Yes, the answer is yes. Because how does economic growth happen? Economic growth means nation income keeps going up. Today we are a $3 trillion economy. We are the fourth or fifth largest in the world. We were not the fifth largest. We were maybe in the 20th or 25th, maybe, I don't know, 20 years ago. India was not in the top 10. So we were growing, our economy was growing. And why was it growing? Because more goods, more services, fastest growth in the world. Our pace, the rate of growth of our steel sector, cement sector, real estate, telecom, IT, software, textiles, chemicals, everything is growing. The economy is growing at 8%, 9%. It's growing. Now how is it growing? Because some sectors are doing extremely well. IT sector, if you remember, Pune is one of the clusters. Look at Hinjewadi. I don't know if you remember Hinjewadi from 30 years ago. Did you know Hinjewadi 30 years ago? If you go there today, fantastic. No other part of India has seen that kind of growth. So the growth happens because some people in the economy do extremely well. So these are the talented people, creative people, innovative people. They create wealth, they create jobs, they create factories, they create new businesses, they go ahead, they are the winners. They create jobs. IT sector, one IT job creates a job for husband and wife are working, so they need a cook, they need a jhadu pocha wala, a jhadu pocha wali, they need a driver, then IT software company aliki, they need the restaurant, chai wala, what is called the cafeteria. So they create jobs. So one person is creating the wealth, Mr. Narayan Murthy, Infosys founder, but because of him, a lot of people are getting jobs. So the economy is expanding, but not everybody is expanding at the same time, same rate. The winners are going ahead at 20%. So total economic growth is 8% or 7%, but the top guys are going ahead by 20% per year. So therefore, the average, since elementary mathematics, the bottom guys must be growing at 1% or 2%. Average is growing at 7%. That's how the gap is increasing. So economic growth and inequality go together. Economic growth will cause inequality. That is the nature of the phenomenon. Economic growth that tumhala haviya sell, if you want fast growth, you have to accept that inequality will increase. Now this is something that economics teachers will remember. Kuznets curve. Lewis model, it's there in the literature. It's not so surprising. But Mr. Piketty also has shown a model where he says that typically it is the richer folk who have better investment strategies. If you look at the aggregate savings, the richer people in society manage to invest their wealth more cleverly. They get higher returns, stock market. The poorer people, they say only in fixed deposit in bank. Bank mein kitna milta hai? Just 3-4%. So even the investment strategies are better. So basically growth keeps happening, but the inequality also increases. So that's the connection. Now, I'm not saying that it has to happen, but this is the natural, normal phenomenon. So therefore, we come to the last question now, right? What can we do about it? So I hope you have so far been with me. Inequality, is there inequality? Yes. Is it bad? Yes, because it deters investors. It ultimately will cause social instability or tensions. Third, is it increasing in the world? Yes, it's increasing everywhere. Fourth, is there a connection between growth and inequality? Yes. Economic growth induces inequality. That's the very nature of the phenomenon. Fifth, what can we do about it? The answer is that that's where the spiritual dimension, that's why I'm saying, nusta economics made microeconomics or macroeconomics or statistics, data analytics, you need sessions like this where you have to remember all those great saints. You have to remember the moral foundations. We have to remember the values. No society can sustain unless there is a strong foundation of this empathy, whatever you call it. If empathy is very innate to human beings. If we were all sitting in this room and त्या खोलीत ना एक छोट्या बाळाचा एकदम जोरात सम चिल्लाया की छोटे बच्चे छोट्या बाळाचा एकदम रडण्याचा आवाज आला, instinctively you will feel अरे काय some baby is crying. How does that happen? There must be something innate in our. So just because somebody is my brother or sister or my mother, I feel very close to them. But you are a stranger, I don't feel anything for you. ऐसा नहीं होता है. In fact, I think love and empathy is natural. All babies, when a baby is born, even if a robber or a thief comes and says lollipop, oh hi. So actually learning, becoming non-empathetic towards other people is something that we learn. Loving, I think, is the very nature from our birth. But we have to learn to hate other people. We have to learn to be jealous of other people. We have to learn to not be empathetic to other people. So I'm saying, so what can we do about inequality? That we have to accept that if our society has increasing inequality, we must accept that we have to take care of those who are lagging behind. It is our collective responsibility. It is for our own benefit. Otherwise, we have to all live in, with bodyguards and societies with security guards. And we have to, if my daughter is going to school, uske साथ किसको भेजना पड़ेगा? In some states of India, I don't want to name them, there was fear of kidnap, अगर कोई rich doctor है, तो अपने बच्चों को he doesn't send, अरे बाप रे, there are cases of kidnapping. So we don't want to live in such societies. We want to live in peaceful societies. This is called World Peace University, right? We want peace in our life. So for that, or for reasons of empathy, we need to do something about inequality, which means that we have to accept that the richer folk will have greater responsibility towards the poorer folk. So that is what I want to conclude with, that basically, we recently had this economic quota, what is it? The Supreme Court, I think about 10 days ago, they passed a judgment, Supreme Court verdict, that the quota for economically weaker sections, 10% quota for government jobs and in government colleges admissions, is valid. This was a constitutional amendment made in 2019 January, 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago. It is meant for economically weaker section. What does that mean? Poor people, right? So it seems to be a good idea. In fact, there was no opposition to it. In Parliament, there was no debate or discussion. But what happened is, I don't want to go into that controversy. What happened is that they said that if you look at the official data from Government of India itself, 82 or 83% of the people who are poor, economically weaker section, below the poverty line, they are either scheduled caste or scheduled tribe or OBCs. And this judgment excludes them. It is meant for poor people, but most of the poor people are excluded. So ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. मतलब if we want to do something for the really economically backward, then we have to be clear and consistent about our policies. But my talk is not about that judgment. I'm just saying that, we say that often now in 2 months, less than 2 months, the finance minister is going to be presenting the union budget. So first question which everybody is going to ask is, अरे मेरा tax बढ़ाया कि कम हुआ? Only 4 or 5% of India is paying income tax, by the way. And we don't pay income tax till our income is about 6.5 lakhs, if you add up all the exemptions. That means our per capita income in India, the per capita income, which is total income divided by population of India, is only 1.2 lakhs. That is the average income per man, woman and child. Average. Per capita manje mean, manje average. And we start paying income tax only at the slab of 6.5 lakhs. In most other countries, including America, the per capita income is about $40,000 or $50,000. That is average. They start paying income tax at $10,000, 1/5 of national income, average national income. We start paying income tax at 4 times, 1.2, 4 times of that is 6 lakhs, 4 or 5 times. We start minimum income tax starts at about 500% of mean. And remember, 1.2 lakhs is the mean income of India, average. That poverty line is much below that. And there are 20%, 25% people below the poverty line, or that is debatable, 18%, whatever it is. So the fact is that we need to do much more in terms of taking care of our people who are less fortunate. I'm not, everybody, when national income is going up, everybody is benefiting. Everybody is benefiting. The frontline winners are benefiting more, and the people who are lagging behind are not benefiting. So their income is going up only by 1 or 2 or 3%, and the frontline guys are going up by 15-20%. So they have additional responsibility to take care. What I'm trying to say is that we have to, what can we do about inequality is we have to accept distributive justice. We have to accept redistribution of national resources. We have to accept that the poorer people, poorer sections of society will have first claims on national resources or government resources. So I want to conclude with one quotation, if I may. I will just read the quotation that, just give me 1 minute, and because I thought I will just bring it up. I'm trying to tell you that as a society, and as a society, by the way, we have to collectively decide, okay? I cannot decide what is the optimum inequality for society. All of us have to decide together. How do we decide that? We have a process. We have a political process, sociological process. We have elections. So I want to read to you, and before I conclude, that so just give me. Okay. We are going to, so I'm reading now. We are going to enter into a life of contradictions. In politics, we have equality. See, the whole discussion was about inequality, right? But we do have one person, one vote. Man or woman, Hindu or Muslim, rich or poor, सबको एक vote मिलेगा. Political equality तो है. So, I'm reading now. We are going to enter into a life of contradictions. In political life, in politics, we have equality. But in social and economic life, we have inequality. In politics, we have the principle of one man, one vote. In social and economic life, we have an economic structure, I just mentioned to you, which continues to deny the principle of equality or equity. How long can we continue with this life of contradiction? How long can we continue this life of contradiction? Ekikade politics, there is principle of equality, but in social and economic life, there is increasing inequality. How long will we continue this contradiction? How shall we continue to deny equality in our social and economic life? How long can we deny equality? If we continue to deny it for long, then our entire political democracy is in danger. We must remove this contradiction at the earliest. What I said, increase in inequality, we must remove, not completely, but we must reduce it. We must remove it or reduce it. Otherwise, those who suffer from inequality will blow up this entire edifice that we call India's grand democracy. This statement, I'm just reading it. This statement was made, sir, on 26 November 1949, 20 years before the first incident of Naxalwadi movement. 20 years before Naxalwadi. This statement is the speech of Dr. Ambedkar. So, it is not me, it is many people have said that growth and inequality go together, but collectively as a society, we have to be cognizant of it and we have to consciously think about it and we have to do something about it. Thank you for your patience. Thank you.
Can we have a standing ovation for Dr. Ajit Ranadeji? It was indeed a very enlightening and enriching speech. Thank you so much, sir. May I now kindly request Honorable Dr. Vishwanath Garaj, sir, to propose the presidential address.
Thank you, Dr. Ajit Ranade Sahab, for the words of wisdom which can and which did throw a very divine light, I will say, on this very important issue, on the theme of economic growth and inequality. When he had just said some words about inequality, I was myself little puzzled whether there is inequality, what are the results, etc., etc. I still remember only that when I was in the first year of arts and science, after passing my matriculation, I had one subject called as the economics, and wherein I know that Malthus' theory of population is the only thing which I remember. Otherwise, I am not the authority to comment on these things, but some of you must be very curious to make some queries and ask some questions on the very theme which he spoke so vividly. His introduction was very illuminating to my mind. Leaving a certain high position and the highest salary, much bigger than what he is now getting possibly as a Vice Chancellor, त्याग आणि समर्पण असे दोन शब्द आहेत. जीवनामध्ये तिसरा शब्द येतो नम्रता. आमच्या वारकरी संप्रदायामध्ये नम्र झाला भूता त्याने कोंडिले अनंत असं म्हटलं आहे. त्याचं छोटंसं दर्शन मी मगापासून त्यांच्या वागण्यात बोलण्यामध्ये चर्चेमध्ये मला जाणवलं. ते स्वतः वैष्णव परंपरेतले त्यांनी काही उल्लेख दिले. आनंद झाला, समाधान झालं मला स्वतःला. ज्याला आपल्याकडे असं म्हणतात की ईश्वर नावाची काही गोष्ट असेलच आणि तुमचा विश्वास असेल तर, करोनाच्या नंतर याची जाणीव झाली याची मला कल्पना आहे. अगोदरपासून अनेक लोक देव कुठं आहे, ईश्वर म्हणजे काय, आपण नेहमीच बोलतो ईश्वर ही शक्ती आहे, व्यक्ती नव्हे. अनेक गोष्टी बोलण्यासारख्या आहेत. आणि दिस इंस्टिट्यूशन which has been highly committed since day one, that we have been trying to follow in the footsteps of the great noble son of India, Swami Vivekananda, who had very assertively stated in 1893 on 11th September, and he gave a clarion call almost to the whole world, that my sisters and brothers, which you know it very well, nothing new I am saying, to remember that the union of science and spirituality oblique religion, two words are used, religion oblique spirituality, will alone help to bring harmony and peace to mankind. That has been the mission and the passion in our belly, all of us. We are trying to learn, understand. And the outcome has been the biggest dome in the world in the known human history. We are not the makers, but we have been highly committed for that very cause. And we have been always talking about the spiritually oriented scientific laboratory. And we always refer to Sant Dnyaneshwara and Sant Tukaram. शांती परते नाही सुख, एर अवघेची दुःख म्हणून शांती धरा उतरालं पहिलं तिळा. एक शब्द आहे. आणि ज्ञानेश्वरांच्या याच्यामध्ये ओम नमोजी आद्या, वेद प्रतिपाद्या, जय जय स्वसंवेद्य आत्मरूपा. अंडरस्टँडिंग द सेल्फ. कुठून आलास, काय पर्पज आहे तुझ्या जीवनाचा आणि कुठे जाणार आहेस, याचं थोडंसं आत्मपरीक्षण करण्याचे अत्यंत महत्त्वाचे वैज्ञानिक शब्द. वेद उपनिषदांच्या पासून एकम सत विप्रा बहुधा वदंतीसारखा सिद्धांत, हा सिद्धांत आहे. द ट्रूथ इज वन अँड ओनली वन. वी कॉल इट बाय डिफरंट नेम्स. रानडे साहेबांचं नाव अजित आईने ठेवलं असेल ना, वडिलांनी आईचं कन्सल्टेशन होऊन ठेवलं गेलं असेल. माझं नाव विश्वनाथ. इकडं रवी बसला आहे, इकडे ही अंजली बसली आहे. हे आपल्या आईवडिलांनी ठेवलेलं नाव आहे. पण आपलं खरं स्वरूप काय असा विषय त्यांनी मांडला गेला. आणि आत्ता आपली एक दिशा आहे. इथं एक छोटं पुस्तक माझ्यासमोर पडलेलं आहे. इथं असं म्हटलं, यात्रा वचन पूर्ती की. जीवन यात्रा. तुमच्या जीवनाची दिशा काय, यात्रा काय, कमिटमेंट काय. आणि मग तो जो शब्द होता मगाचा, इनइक्वॅलिटी, वाईट का चांगली, का बरी का बुरी, का इनइक्वॅलिटी हवी का वगैरे, असे खूप प्रश्न विचारले. आणि त्याने अतिशय सुंदर दिशा देऊन एका गहन अशा विषयाचं, जीवनाच्या गहन विषयाचं स्वरूप आपल्यासमोर मांडलं. मला खूप समाधान आहे. मी एवढंच सांगेन की आत्ता ज्याच्याकरता ही सिरीज आपली चालू आहे गेली 27 वर्ष, पुन्हा पुन्हा अशा भेटी होतात. आणि आजचं अजित रानडे सरांचं हे इथं येणं आणि या संत ज्ञानेश्वर सभागृहामध्ये त्यांचं मनोगत, त्यांचं चिंतन, त्यांचा विचार, अतिशय डीप रूटेड असं काही चिंतन जे आहे इकॉनॉमिक्सच्या माध्यमातून. पण मी तुम्हाला जे म्हणालो की जीवनाचं अर्थशास्त्र कोणतं, मला कधीतरी विचार येतो. मी मागे एक दोनदा बोललो, पण पुन्हा रानडे सरांच्याकरता बोलतो. सध्याच्याला सर्व जगभर जो केबॉस, कन्फ्युजन, ब्लडसेड, मॅसेकर, टेररिझम असे वेगवेगळे शब्द आहेत, पण ते लागू आहेत. सध्या जगाची दिशा काय आणि कुटुंबाची दिशा काय असं माझ्या मनात आलं. त्याच्याविषयी मला असं वाटलं की रानडे सरांच्यासारखी माणसं याला निश्चितपणे काहीतरी दिशा बदलू शकतील का, जी दिशा आहे आपल्या जीवनाची योग्य आहे का. आणि असा एक शब्द आहे, आता परवा सॉल्ट लेक सिटीमध्ये जेव्हा मी बोललो, विवेकानंदाच्या नावावर बोलत होतो, द फॅमिली सिस्टीम इज ऑन द रुईन असा शब्द आहे. चर्चा झाली याच्यावर, फार जगभर चर्चा चालू आहे की आपली कुटुंब व्यवस्था किंवा आपली कुठलीही व्यवस्था जी असेल ती विनाशाच्या दिशेने वाटचाल करते. मी मागे एकदा बोललो, पण पुन्हा सांगतो की इंग्लंडमध्ये फॅमिली सिस्टीमबद्दल एक बातमी आली होती इंडियन एक्सप्रेसमध्ये आपल्या. त्यात अशी बातमी होती की 11 वर्षाची 10 वर्षाची मुलं आत्महत्या करण्याची प्रवृत्ती वाढते आहे. मला फार आश्चर्य वाटलं की 10 आणि 11 वर्षाचं मूल श्रीमंत आहे, 5 स्टार गाडी आहे, 5 स्टार बेडरूम आहे, 5 स्टार बंगला आहे, काहीच कमी नाही. आणि तरी 10 आणि 11 वर्षाच्या मुलाच्या मनामध्ये आत्महत्या करण्याचा विचार आला कसा. त्यांनीच उत्तर दिले पुढे. माझं सांगत नाही, कारण त्याला जे प्रेम हवं आहे आईचं आणि वडिलांचं, मातृदेवो भव पितृदेवो भव म्हणतो आपण आपल्याकडे. ब्रिटिश सिस्टीममध्ये मॅरेज इज अ परमनंट युनियन ऑफ टू सोल्स अशी व्याख्या आहे. लग्न म्हणजे दोन आत्म्यांचं कायमस्वरूपी मिलन, प्रेम, आस्था आणि एकमेकांच्याबद्दलचा आदर अशी त्याची व्याख्या केली. पण तुम्हाला माहीत आहे की ब्रिटन आपला आदर्श झाला नकळत, आणि याची अवस्था इतकी टोकाला गेली की आई एका क्लबमध्ये आहे आणि बाप दुसऱ्या क्लबमध्ये आहे. जरा वाईट शब्द आहेत, पण मला थोडी सवय आहे असं काही थोडा अभ्यास करून मग काहीच बोलावं. आता ही जी दिशा असेल तर इतकी श्रीमंती असताना, इतकं घर सुंदर असताना असं घडावं का? तर फॅमिली सिस्टीम जर रुईनवर जात असेल, दिशा असेल, तर ही दिशा जगाची आहे ना. नॉट ओन्ली ब्रिटन. ब्रिटिश तर पब्स आणि क्लब्स आपले आवडते विषय झाले. सगळ्या तरुणांच्यामध्ये याची आवड जास्त आहे. विजय भटकरांना जेव्हा महाराष्ट्र भूषण पुरस्कार मिळाला होता, मी स्वतः हजर होतो मुंबईमध्ये मुख्यमंत्र्यांच्या हस्ते, तर विजय भटकरांनी असं स्टेटमेंट केलं, विजय भटकर इज अ स्पिरिच्युअली ओरिएंटेड ग्रेट सायंटिस्ट ऑफ कम्प्युटर, परमसुपर. त्यांनी असं म्हटलं होतं की कराड सर, मला असं वाटतं जेव्हा आपले तरुण, आपले शिक्षक ज्ञानोबा तुकोबाच्या नावाने टाळ घेऊन नाचायला शिकतील, पबमध्ये क्लबमध्ये रॉक अँड रोल न करता, त्या दिवशी भारत हा जगातला सर्वात महान देश असेल असं मला वाटतं. आणि मला स्टील अजून आठवतं. आता याचा अर्थ तुम्ही टाळकोटे व्हावं असं मी शब्द वापरत नाही, पण अजित रानडेसारखे किंवा इथं अनेक जण मला समोर दिसत आहेत, आमचा चिटणीस असेल, कोणी असेल, ही जी माणसं आहेत हे कर्मयोगी म्हणतात. याला लक्षात, जर ईश्वरावर काही विश्वास असेलच तो ठेवावाच लागेल. आता करोनानंतर कळलं आहे तुम्हाला की काहीतरी भानगड आहे आणि काहीतरी इनविजिबल फोर्स, एनर्जी प्रिव्हेल्स अँड देन दिस एंटायर युनिवर्स इज मेड. ह्या संपूर्ण विश्वाचं स्वरूप अणु रेणू थोकडा तुका आकाशा एवढा, एकच शब्द आहे. ओम नमोजी आद्या वेद प्रतिपाद्या जय जय स्वसंवेद्या आत्मरूपा. हे सिद्धांत आहेत बरं का मित्र. मी इंजिनिअरिंगचा विद्यार्थी आहे, रानडे सर इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजिनियर, आणि आता बोलत आहेत कशावर? अर्थशास्त्र जगाचं. आणि मी बोलतो आहे विश्वशांतीवर. मला काय येतं आहे विश्वशांतीचं? पण कशी दिशा असते जीवनाची. मला एवढं सांगायचं की सर, जगाच्यामध्ये आता एवढं वैभव असतानासुद्धा भेद कुठे, भांडणं कशाची आणि वाद कशाचा, असं का घडतं आहे? शिकलेल्या घरामध्ये सुद्धा, श्रीमंत घरामध्ये, तुमच्या भाषेमध्ये सगळं आहे, काहीच कमी नाही, आणि तरी अशा घरांच्यामध्ये खरोखर मनापासून आनंद, सच्चित आनंदची अनुभूती किंवा खरोखर प्रेमाची अनुभूती असं काही आहे का? आणि हे नसेल तर का? याचा अर्थशास्त्र, याच्यावर तुम्ही काहीतरी, मीच प्रश्न विचारतो आहे तुम्हाला आता. खरं म्हणजे प्रश्न समोरच्याने विचारायचे, पण असा एक मनात विचार आला आणि आपलं कर्तव्य काय ते या दिशेने संपूर्ण देशाला आणि भारताच्याकडून सर्व जगाला एक संदेश जाणार आहे. लक्षात ठेवा, लिहून ठेवा. हे विवेकानंदाचे शब्द आहेत, पुन्हा सांगतो. आणि मला खात्री वाटते की आपण कधी काळी विवेकानंदाचा मार्ग स्वीकारला तो चुकीचा नव्हता, असं आज खात्री झाली. मग देह आणि बुद्धी आणि आत्मा आणि मन हा विचार मी किती वेळा सांगतो की शिक्षणामध्ये, इकॉनॉमिक्समध्ये सुद्धा देह आणि बुद्धीचाच नुसता विचार करू नका, फक्त मन आणि आत्म्याचा विचार केला, ज्याला अध्यात्म म्हटलं आहे. आणि अध्यात्म म्हणजे अंधश्रद्धा नाही, हे जगात सिद्ध झालं आहे, द वर्ल्ड ओव्हर. तेव्हा याचं सुंदर चिंतन अर्थशास्त्राशी निगडीत करण्याचा माझा प्रयत्न मी बाजूला घेतो. पण आपल्यापैकी जर कुणाला स्पेसिफिक नाव सांगायचं, स्पेसिफिक प्रश्न, चर्चा नाही, आपल्यामध्ये इट्स ओपन फॉर यू. सरांना जे कॉमेंट करण्याचा पूर्णपणे अधिकार आहेच, तुम्ही त्याच्यामध्ये बोला.
डॉक्टर रोहिणी पटवर्धन. मला असं वाटतं की तुम्ही जे म्हणालात की आपल्याला ही इक्वालिटी कमी करायला पाहिजे, तर CSR हे एक माध्यम त्याच्यासाठी योग्य आहे असं आपल्याला वाटतं का, की हा एक प्रयत्न आहे की इक्वालिटी कमी करायचा?
अर्थातच आहे. म्हणजे भारतातला जो कायदा आहे तो ॲक्च्युली सबंध जगात एकच असा देश आहे ज्यांनी असा कायदा केला आहे की ज्या कंपन्यांचा नफा असतो म्हणजे पोस्ट टॅक्स इन्कम टॅक्स भरल्यानंतर तो नफा राहतो तो ॲक्च्युली सगळा डिव्हिडंड म्हणून मालकांना जातो. तर त्या नफ्यातनं माहिती 2% कंपल्सरी CSRला गेला पाहिजे. हा चांगला आहे, ही चांगलं पाऊल आहे माझ्या मते. पण हे एकमेव पाऊल पुरेसं नाही आहे. कारण असा अनुमान आहे की संबंध देशात सगळा CSR जरी आपण घेतला तरी जवळ काहीतरी एक 18,000 कोटी जमतात. आपलं बजेट मुळे 35 का 42 लाख कोटी आहे. त्यातला एक म्हणजे 0.1% पण नाही आहे, 1% असेल. तर तो एक चांगलं पाऊल आहे. पण अनेक अशा गोष्टी करायला लागतील. काही कंपल्सरी, काही व्हॉलंटरी. 42 लाख कोटी इज आवर युनियन बजेट. हां सॉरी 42 लाख हजार कोटी आणि 18,000 कोटी म्हणजे इट इज लिटरली जस्ट नॉट इवन 1%.
Yes, anyone else?
Good evening, sir. This is Dr. Ratnarip Joshi. Today, with SDGs, the goals that we are doing with United Nations, we are finding out that EDI, equality, diversity, and inclusivity, they are coming up as opportunities for growth. Now, when we are talking about the economist, most of the time what we are looking is the approach to look at the economic situation is very pessimistic. We are very Marxist. I'm sorry to make a comment, however, it is very pessimistic and we are trying to think that those who are earning, we are trying to grab from them. That way we cannot bring in the equality. So we need to change our glasses to look at the economics so that we find out the equality among the inequality. So as you referred, Dr. Ambedkar sir, can't we wear the glasses of Dr. Ambedkar sir so that we can bring in the opportunities also for the people who want to grow? The second part is the anxiety comes in because the opportunity to grow is denied. The opportunities are not available. So in my opinion, the best way is providing the opportunities for the growth rather than thinking on some material aspects. Your opinion, sir. Thank you.
First of all, I did not say we have to bring equality. I said let us reduce inequality. I am not saying we should have zero pollution. It is impossible in the modern industrial age. If the pollution goes out of control, sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, particulate matter, when it goes out of control, we have to bring in anti-pollution law, anti-pollution measures. So, I am not saying we bring equality. It is impossible and possibly undesirable. I am saying let us reduce inequality. Before I say reduce inequality, you and I have to accept की inequality बहुत ज़्यादा हो गई, फार जास्त झालेली आहे. ह्याच्याबद्दल आपलं सहमत झालं पाहिजे. We should have a consensus. So if you ask me, the first step, what can we do? Let us all first agree that inequality is intolerable now. Once we agree, then the next step will be easier. Incidentally, since you mentioned the SDGs of United Nations, the first SDG goal is removal of poverty. And the third or fourth goal is reduction of inequality. So even the United Nations has recognized it. And you're right that inequality reduction does not mean grabbing something from somebody. First you have to build a consensus that inequality is like pollution. It is going to hurt you and me. It is going to hurt the rich and poor, everybody. See, when the pollution is there, carbon dioxide, it is not going to say, oh, you know, I will spare Mr. Ambani, I will only go here. ऐसा नहीं होता है. The COVID virus, the highest number of deaths was in the richest country in the world. USA had 1 million official deaths. The biggest healthcare system in the world had the highest. So the COVID virus को पता नहीं है कौन rich है, कौन poor है, कौन Hindu है, कौन Muslim है. Same thing with about inequality, when it's really pollution. So that's the first consensus, and then it's not about grabbing, and we have to of course keep expanding. So I didn't say we should have zero economic growth. I said we should keep expanding. We should create opportunities. We should improve the ease of doing business. We should improve the reforms, economic reforms. Jasti opportunity. We create more entrepreneurs, more tinkering labs, more innovation, more youngsters. Give them opportunity. But let us recognize we also have a responsibility to reduce the gap. That's all.
Yes. Anyone else, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So since, sir, we are discussing about...
Tell your name.
Yes, so my name is Prasad Kulkarni, sir. Sir, since we are discussing about SDGs, and you rightly said there are many steps which India has been taking, starting the tinkering lab, startups and stand-up and all those things. And still you made a statement that we are not on a right track. The inequality is still increasing. And when we are talking about achieving these SDG 10, which is reduce equality by 2030, so we are only 8 years, remaining. So what is how do you look at that?
No, that is poverty. I said we have to eliminate poverty by 2030. By the way, many people confuse the two terms. Poverty and inequality are two different things, completely different. If you are making 1 crore rupees a year and I am making 10 lakh rupees a year, both of us are not poor, but there is a large inequality between us. Inequality म्हणजे मराठीमध्ये विषमता. Poverty म्हणजे दारिद्र्य किंवा so poverty is defined in terms of food and calories. If somebody is not even getting basic nutrition, 2 square meals a day, then that person is defined to be poor. तर ते तर आहेच मुळे. We want everybody to be at least above the poverty line. Minimum they should get 2 meals a day, food. But inequality is different. See, Maharashtra is the richest state in the country today in terms of industrial production. But I told you, within Maharashtra there is inequality. So these two terms are different. The first SDG goal is about removing poverty, and the third or fourth goal is reducing, not removing, reducing inequality.
No discussion, please. Yes, next.
Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for the inspiring talk. I am Dr. Shilpa Dev. Sir, I would like to know, do you think limiting wants will bring in peace, harmony, sustainability and reduction in inequality?
Thank you. I am told by Dr. Chitnis that you are also an alumnus of Gokhale Institute, so nice to meet you. Yeah, reducing wants मध्येच आलं. This is the Adhyatmic angle, the spiritual or moral angle. Or Gandhian angle, whatever you call it. E.F. Schumacher नावाचा एक famous माणूस होता. He wrote a book called Small is Beautiful. Right? Small is beautiful. So, that is, if I start saying that we should reduce our want, I think Gandhiji or somebody said, the world has enough for everybody's need, but not for everybody's greed. So, that goes into the moral dimension. So, I was restricting my lecture or comments on the economic dimension. But if you are willing to accept with me or others, if you can drive a consensus that all of us should reduce our wants, then I think you have already gone 2 steps ahead. So that is a great thing. But as I said, economics is silent on this concept.
सर मी संजय केळकर. आपण म्हणालात की इनइक्वॅलिटी जगामध्ये वाढत चालली आहे, तर या लिस्टमध्ये सगळ्यात तळातले देश कोण आहेत? तळातले देश म्हणजे जिथे इनइक्वॅलिटी अतिशय कमी आहे.
तळातले नाही, मग त्यांना तळातले नाही म्हणायचं.
नाही म्हणजे त्या लिस्टमध्ये तळात ना.
नाही म्हणजे त्यांच्यामध्ये विषमता सगळ्यात कमी आहे. तर बरेचसे देश असे आहेत की स्कॅन्डिनेव्हियामधल्या ज्या कंट्रीज आहेत, फिनलंड, डेन्मार्क, स्वीडन, या देशांमध्ये विषमता खूप कमी आहे. म्हणजे तिथे बट दे ऑल्सो कोइन्सिडेंटली डॉक्टर कराड, these are the countries which have some of the best education systems in the world. So since you keep invoking Swami Vivekananda, he said there is no other magic word other than the word education. त्यामुळे education जेव्हा आपण when we spread education, that is an example of extremely redistributive activity. When one child gets good education, आपण ते कोणाकडनं हिरावून घेत नाही आहे. आपण जर ह्याला अंबानींकडनं टॅक्स घेतला आणि ह्या माणसाला दिला रोजगार हमी योजना or some anti-poverty scheme, then we have to take money from the rich and give it to the poor. So it is a transfer. But giving education does not take anything from anybody. So having very good quality education. In fact, I am reminded that Tony Blair he once made a speech, the Prime Minister of UK. He says, my government has 3 priorities. The priorities are, first is education, then second is education, and third is education. So, and I'm very happy that you are all employed and engaged in the. So I think we have to great stress on. I mean, when I say education, it is not just skills like programming and coding, and it is like value-based education. And that has to start very early. It has to be foundation of values. The lives of great saints of India, great saints of the world. They all have they all say very similar things. You will be surprised to know that all the great saints and sages of the world हॅव ऑलमोस्ट आयडेंटिकल थिंग्स टू से. दे आर नॉट, त्यांच्यामध्ये विरोधाभास बिलकुलच नाही आहे. So we should from very early childhood, if we are exposed to the lives and of lives of great sages and saints of the world, म्हणजे as a life, not as propaganda किंवा as काय म्हणतात तसं नाही, just the life.
सर माझा एक प्रश्न आहे, सरांच्या कराड सरांच्या परमिशननी विचारतो, पण अजून एका वेगळ्या पद्धतीच्या विषमतेकडे सरांचं लक्ष वेधू इच्छितो. आणि तो प्रश्न असा आहे की मी कथेच्या स्वरूपात थोडं वेगळं विनोदानी बोलणार आहे. की मी गेलो होतो एकदा भाजी आणायला मंडईमध्ये, आणि पालक भाजी आणि मेथी भाजी घेताना 15 रुपयाला जुडी सांगितली. शेजारी बघितलं तर रतन टाटा होते, त्यांनी विचारलं केवढ्याला, त्यांनाही 15 रुपयालाच दिली. पुढे गेलो चितळ्यांकडे बाकरवडी घेतली, शेजारी कराड सर उभे होते, आम्हाला दोघांनी 100 रुपये किलोनीच विकली. तिथनं मी पुढे चालत चालत गेलो, बँकेमध्ये गेलो, म्हटलं मला घर घ्यायचं आहे, लोन द्या. मला 10% दिलं, आणि शेजारी अनिल अंबानी बेव होते, त्यांना 5% दिलं. एकच वस्तू सगळ्या जगामध्ये अशी आहे की जी विकत घेताना म्हणजे कर्ज घेताना फक्त त्याचे भाव वेगळे आहेत, बाकी सगळ्या वस्तू समाजातल्या सर्व लोकांना सेम रेटनी मिळतात. मग हे कसं द्यायचं? तर सरांना माहिती आहे, मी पूर्वी नॅशनल इन्स्टिट्यूट ऑफ बँक मॅनेजमेंटमध्ये काम केलं. आदरणीय मनमोहन सिंग मोठे नंतर ते देशाचे फायनान्स मिनिस्टर झाले. पुढचं सांगायला नको, पंतप्रधानचं. तर त्यावेळेला असं चाललं होतं की ही कर्ज देताना एवढी विषमता आहे. कोणाला 5%, अनिल अंबानी गेट्स ॲट अराउंड 5%, आणि इंडस्ट्रीमध्ये नवीन जे स्टार्टअप आहेत ते गेट ॲट 24%, ज्याला आपण आज अर्बन सावकारीसुद्धा म्हणू शकतो. मायक्रो फायनान्स म्हणजे काय तुम्हाला माहिती आहे? रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट कधी आहे? 24% व्याज लावतात. कसा समाज पुढे जाणार आहे? तर याच्यावर आता आपण म्हणतो की कॉर्पोरेट मॉडेलिंग काढलं, सिबिल स्कोअर आला. आता माझा सिबिल स्कोअर 782 आहे, म्हणजे खूप हाय आहे, म्हणून मला कमी दराने मिळतं. पण समोर बसल्या कोणाचं जर समजा 5.2 असेल तर त्यांना खूप जास्त दर भरायला. तर याच्यावर जर आपल्याला एखादा कायदा, गोखले इन्स्टिट्यूट जर देशाला सांगत असेल नवीन बजेटमध्ये निर्मला सीतारामनना की 10%च्या वर कोणी देशामध्ये कर्ज विकायचं नाही, पैसा विकायचा नाही, असं काही करता येईल. कारण दुसरा एक मी ऑलरेडी सरकारला लिहिलं आहे, अनिरुद्ध देशपांडेंच्या थ्रू गेलेलो आहे पुढे, की ज्या संस्था MIT सारख्या किंवा मॉडर्न असेल, डेक्कन एज्युकेशन, 25 वर्ष ज्यांची कंप्लीट झाली आहेत, कुठलाही प्रॉब्लेम नाही आहे त्या संस्थांमध्ये, त्यांना फुकट 100 कोटी 200 कोटी सरकारने द्यावे. त्याचं इंटरेस्ट काय सेट करायचं त्यांनी करावे. आणि नियर बाय, आणि अनिरुद्ध देशपांडेंनी ही मानली, पुढे कदाचित गेली पण असेल, पण त्याचं रेटिंग करावं. जसं सिबिल स्कोअर आहे, नॅक स्कोअर आहे एज्युकेशनला, सिबिल आहे तुमच्या फायनान्सला, तसं या संस्थेचं रेटिंग चांगलं आहे. हे जर 10 पैकी 8 आलं तर 100 कोटी रुपये फ्री द्यावे, आणि त्यांनीच देश पुढे जाईल. हे मी प्रूव्ह करून दाखवलेलं आहे, आणि तसं पत्र मी मोदीजींना लिहिलेलं आहे. थँक्यू. आपलं काय मत आहे की विषमता जी आर्थिक कर्ज विकण्यामध्ये, कर्ज नावाचा जो आपला प्रॉडक्ट आहे तो कमी कसा करता येईल, विषमता?
मला असं वाटतं की आता रवी चिटणीसांनी प्रश्न विचारल्यावर सगळ्या आपल्या प्रश्नांचं सार तिथं आलं असं मी समजतो. हा शेवटचा प्रश्न समजून अजित साहेबांना विनंती करतो की आपण त्याच्याबद्दल मनोगत व्यक्त करावं.
नाही, मला खूप आनंद आहे आणि काय म्हणतात समाधान आहे की ॲटलिस्ट आपण चर्चा सुरू केली. सो दॅट इज गुड इनफ फॉर मी दॅट वी हॅव, इफ वी स्टार्ट डिस्कसिंग, जसे डॉक्टर चिटणीसांनी आता काही काही सुचवलेत मार्ग, त्याबद्दल काय म्हणजे वी कॅन डिस्कस इट. मी असं कुठेच म्हटलं नाही की हा मार्ग सोपा असणार आहे. प्लीज डोंट थिंक दॅट इट इज गोइंग टू बी इझी. भरपूर किचकट असणार आहे. पण पहिलं पाऊल इज टू फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल हॅव अ कन्सेन्सस अमंग अस की इनइक्वालिटी इज समथिंग दॅट वी नीड टू रिड्यूस. आता तो कसं करायचा, आणि ते कर्जातली विषमता काढायची का, ह्याच्यातली काढायची का, इनडायरेक्ट टॅक्स कमी करायचं का, GST वरती करायचं, ते सगळे मॅटर ऑफ डिटेल्स. बट आय एम व्हेरी हॅपी दॅट वी हॅव स्टार्टेड द इंजिन. सो दॅट इज गुड इनफ फॉर मी. थँक्यू.
मला असं वाटतं की इंजिन खूप पॉवरफुल आहे, तर त्यांच्याकरता टाळ्या देऊन आपण थांबूया. चला.
Thank you so much. This was indeed a very engrossing discussion, and we now request Dr. Anjali Sane ma'am from MIT-WPU University to kindly propose the vote of thanks for today.
Thank you, Dr. Bagchi. Honorable revered Founder President Dr. Vishwanath Karad sir, respected Vice Chancellor Dr. Ravi Kumar Chitnis sir, Dr. Ajit Ranade sir, Pro Vice Chancellors, Deans, Directors, Heads of School, dignitaries on and off the dais, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed my proud privilege to stand here to propose the vote of thanks today. On behalf of the entire team at MIT World Peace University and the entire team of 27th philosophers, Sant Shree Dnyaneshwara and Sant Shree Tukaram Endowment Lecture Series and Orientation 2022. And on my own behalf, I extend a hearty vote of thanks to Dr. Ajit Ranade sir for gracing today's function and sharing with us valuable inputs on the topic economic growth and inequality. So I think this is a very interesting idea that you have put forth, that inequality is an inevitable result of economic growth. And to tackle inequality, I think one thing which sir has suggested is one, to come at a consensus, which I'm sure all of us have. But the second most important thing which I feel is to imbibe a sense of empathy. This is where I feel our role as teachers or as educationists, academicians becomes very important. So we are all aware that the National Education Policy talks about peace, talks about universal human values, talks about value-based education. But even before the National Education Policy was introduced, I am happy to share with Dr. Ranade that at MIT we have been introducing this culture of peace through yoga, through meditation, through this orientation program. Since the inception, since 1983 itself, we have introduced this culture of imbibing value-based universal education for our students. Dear teachers, I feel that it is our responsibility as mentors of the next generation to imbibe this sense of empathy amongst the youth of today so that the inequality, this gap between the rich and the poor can definitely come down. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts with us and sparing time from your busy schedule. On behalf of all the teachers, I want to give an assurance to Dr. Ajit Ranade sir as well as to Dr. Karad sir. And I would like to quote our ex-finance minister, Dr. Shri Arun Jaitley ji. कश्ती चलाने वालों ने जब हार के दी पतवार हमें, लहर लहर तूफान मिले और मौज मौज मझधार हमें, फिर भी दिखाया है हमने और फिर ये दिखा देंगे सबको, इन हालात में आता है दरिया पार करना हमें. Thank you Dr. Ajit Ranade sir for your wonderful thoughts and a very interesting session which I am sure all of us have enjoyed. I also express my deep sense of appreciation for our founder president Dr. Vishwanath Karad sir for being the Prerna in the true sense of the word and always motivating us and organizing such wonderful functions for us. Thank you Dr. Chitnis sir for sparing time and gracing the function. We are all inspired by words of our eminent academicians. I also extend my thanks to the entire team at MIT World Peace University, press and media present here today for the organization and successful execution of today's event. And last but not the least, thank you to the enthusiastic audience today who have been participating enthusiastically. Thank you all, and I look forward to meeting you all tomorrow morning for the yoga session which we have organized for all of us. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. Before we stand for the Pasayadan, a very important announcement. Thanks Sane ma'am for inviting all of us to the yoga session. Dear audience, kindly note that in this 27th ELS, we have organized very important and insightful sessions tomorrow. The first session is by Honorable Professor Ramesh Panseji, a well-known educationist, social reformer from Palghar, Maharashtra at 8:45 a.m. sharp after the yoga session. After which at 10:30 a.m. sharp, we will be blessed to have a very interesting session by Honorable Dr. Jagdish Hirematji. And please note audience, my dear friends, that he will be completing his 25th Silver Jubilee year presence in the Endowment Lecture Series tomorrow with his talk, who is an interventional cardiologist director from Cath Lab, Ruby Hall Clinic, Pune, India. And the evening session is by Honorable Dr. Bhanu Pant, former outstanding scientist and group director from Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, ISRO, Trivandrum. We have very interesting sessions lined up tomorrow. Please do not miss and be present at the right time. Thank you so much. With this, we would now like to request everyone to join their hands and close their eyes, and let us all pray from our hearts. And I request my technical team to kindly relay the universal anthem Pasayadan.